Go ahead, Andre.
All right, so Christian does not leave the WWE,
Boo.
nor does he go to TNA.
Boo.
His TNA main event run was no different than his WWE World Heavyweight Championship run. Two title reigns and not much to show for it. So what do? You keep him on Raw instead of moving him to SmackDown and have him focus on the IC title.
Mm.
Because let's face it, after Shelton Benjamin loses it, the title loses lackluster. You have Carlito win the title. You have um, yeah, that's about the only thing you have until eventually Shelton Benjamin gets it back, only to drop it briefly to RVD. And then what happens after that? The person who brings life back to the IC title is Jeff Hardy. So um, when Shelton Benjamin loses the title, he should drop it to Christian with the assistance of Tyson Tomko. Let Christian have a lengthy IC title reign because Ric Flair doesn't really need it. They only give it to him to make him a Triple Crown champion.
Hmm.
Nobody else held the title. No, there was no competition for the IC title reign at the time. The title at the time. So let Christian run with the title. Let him face all the jobbers. Let him take on all the guys, even from SmackDown, that have to go over there. Let him take on the cruiserweights that are no longer in the cruiserweight division. Let Gregory Helms compete for turning heel and going to SmackDown. Um, and then when Jeff Hardy comes back to the WWE, that's his first target. Sure, John Morrison got to hold the IC title, but his better reign came when he had to win it off of Ray, who had to drop the belt because of steroids. Um, because his first title reign was kind of forgettable when you had all these other guys that were thrown into the mix, and really the one champion that everybody wanted was Jeff Hardy because he came back.
Yeah.
So this way, it gives Christian something to do before he gets himself to the main event. Obviously, he left. Not so much that he was fired; he left because of Vince. He walked out of the company before his contract ran out, and then he joined TNA.
Mm.
And I mean, if it's going to go down that route, this way you have eventually a re-team up with Edge and Christian before eventually Christian joins SmackDown and maybe does something with the US title. Um, but so you have Christian win with the IC title, right? And the first person that challenges him is Jeff, but it's after his return, the way he returned on that Raw, that same
Mm.
Raw where Edge introduces his version of the spinner belt.
Oh, okay. I
He
like
still
that.
cuts that same. He still cuts that same promo, right? What didn't you die like 3 years ago? Right.
Wow.
So in the next night, on the next Raw, Christian hosts an invitational, but it's a joke because there's nobody left for him to beat on Raw except the
Mm.
new guy, right? So he says, Tyson, you're supposed to be my problem solver. And it seems as if I have a problem now, or more like a problem that Edge brought. Jeff Hardy. And so now you got the whole rivalry between them going on. It's more focused on Christian being the guy on the mic, cutting the
Mm.
promos, getting you to be more pissed off at him. And you're already pissed off at his long title reign, and he does with the title reign what Santino tried doing to try to beat Honky Tonk's title reign.
Oh, okay.
He's already getting close to the 1 year mark. That's around the time that Jeff Hardy comes back. So he's already bragging about how he's going to beat the Honky Tonk's record. Finally, a Canadian, a great Canadian Intercontinental Champion. He even beat Chris Jericho for it before sending him off. And so they'll have their first match, and of course, Tyson's going to cause the distraction for Christian to get the win. Hits Jeff Hardy with the Unprettier on the IC title.
Mm.
Um, their next match is going to be a ladder match, obviously, because Jeff Hardy specializes in ladder matches. And then Christian drops the comment of, "But how many of you actually won?
Oh,
I've beaten you in every single every single ladder match we've been in.
Right.
So how are you gonna tell me this is your specialty?"
like Chris Jericho, he's
Um,
on the special of the Money in the Bank, but he's never won one.
you get Jeff to do that same spot he did
True.
where he's holding on to the belts.
Hmm.
Uh, and he gets taken down once again. The Tyson Tomko. So Christian keeps the title, and it gives that title win that Jeff finally gets over the IC title more meaningful because you gave Jeff Hardy a chase,
Mm.
and it's the two. Even though Jeff was the more famous one, it's the two underlings of their tag teams. Jeff was the baby of the tag team, so was Christian of the tag team. Um, you finally have a match, and you save it for one of the Raws instead of a pay per view.
Mm.
Instead of like New Year's Revolution, or you save it for a Raw in the main event. Jeff Hardy versus uh, Christian for
Christian.
the IC title. If Jeff Hardy loses, he leaves the WWE again. So now Jeff's got something on the line. Beats him, and then eventually they have, um, and you have Tyson barred from ringside. So it gives Jeff all the momentum. Jeff hits him with a twist of fate. After with the referee knockdown, he hits him with a twist of fate on the IC title, the same way Christian hit him with the Unpretty on the IC title.
Ooh,
Jeff
deja
tosses the
vu.
belt to the outside, goes for the Swanton bomb, finally wins the IC title back, and then has the
Mm.
same run he did throughout 2007, 2006, 2008 with the
Right.
title to help him ascend to the main event.
Mm. I like that. So I like that. That's a good one. That's how you book somebody ever.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Not
It
write them off.
also gives the IC title more credibility again.
Yeah, because again,
And
he stayed for the whole year. While and he within since he stayed, he's been champion, and then Jeff Hardy comes back. So
and
it's
it
like,
gives him a real title reign because the only reason he won in Judgment Day is because they weren't ready to give it to Booker. The only reason he won it back from Booker T is because Booker T pulled his groin. Everybody that he would have been competing with in 2013,
mm-hmm,
he would have been outshined by them. And I think
mm,
his reign would have been even shorter if he had won 2013. It would have felt like he would have just been a transitional champion. I don't think he would have gotten. He would have won the briefcase cash in, but I think it would have been just a loser the way Miz did, almost.
mm.
Mm.
Um,
You said
I
in
think
2013?
at 2010, I think it would have been his best because he had a good long reign with the ECW title the year before, and that's a nice momentum for him to shift it into the world title picture.
Mm,
That
Yeah.
would have that's like the rumble for him winning the Money in the Bank in 2010. Like that was his moment to ascend. If it wasn't Wade Barrett, I think it should have been Christian and cashing in on Jericho and Edge,
yeah.
doing a Seth Rollins cash in, especially with these guys that he grew up with. Man, that even last minute cash in writes itself. That's like a holy crap. We got the Shield or your early Canadian version.
And then yeah, and then you would have had the two the guys
And
who
and
who are
he wouldn't have
known.
needed too length. Yeah, he wouldn't have needed too lengthy of a title reign
No.
either. Just that moment alone would have been worth would have been as big as a Rumble win for him.
Hmm.
Being that it's Christian.
Right. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what Christian Cage did after that. I just don't understand why he didn't feud with Edge. I don't understand why he didn't feud with Chris Jericho. I just didn't. I'm gonna be honest. I'm throwing a blank of what he was
That
doing
would have
at
been the
that time.
perfect time for him. That would have been the perfect. He would have been the best guy for Miz to have faced instead of R-Truth for the U.S. title.
But
Yet,
yeah,
yet the whole thing
it's
around Team Canada. Guess who would have been more Captain Canada at the time than Christian or Edge?
mm. And then Christian could have, yeah. Oh, and that's a Christian never. I don't think Christian was never the United States champion, right?
I don't
Nope.
think so.
Wow. That dude, that's crazy. So that was another title that he could have just probably like leveled up with.
I mean, they eventually gave it to Daniel Bryan, but he did as much with that belt as Shinsuke did with it. So you could at least Christian would have brought some lineage to it before eventually giving it to Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
And
I
then he
feel
kept getting injured after a while. For after losing that world title to Randy, he just kept being on and off for the next 2 3 years on
that's
injuries.
true. I think the
That
longest he's been was like the longest was when he came back for the Royal Rumble in that pandemic. I think that was the longest injury he had, or I think it was a concussion. He was out for like almost a year, I believe, or was it 2 years? That he was still on the main roster, but then his contract ran out, and I think that's when they brought him back for the Royal Rumble afterwards, and then everybody was just assumed that he was like he got signed or he was still under contract because maybe he was trying to make they were gonna have him make up the lost time that he was out from injury. But it was just like, no, he never signed back. Christian said that. He was like, no, they just asked me, hey, you want to come back for this one moment with Edge? And I said, sure. And that was it.
Wow.
They never offered him a contract, and then AEW reached out. So,
Of course it did.
he also got paid all that time between 2015 and 2020 to just be a podcaster.
Yeah, the Edge
oh
and Christian
yeah,
show.
the Edge and Christian show. Yeah, I forgot. And then that's when they ended the show when Edge went back to WWE.
When we started training. Yeah.
Yeah. So very interesting, very fun. So, all right. Well,